If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
You know, I didn't think that I would start to not like watching our countdown video, but every time it gets to 9 now, it just breaks a little bit of my heart. And I have to watch it quite a bit because I see it when I edit the videos. I see it when we're doing these shows. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to episode 251 of the Far End of the Bench podcast with myself, Jimmy Pilato, and Nico Bryant. We have plenty of things to talk about, and everything's happening. We're in the middle of, I don't know if you realize this because I know you're not a big college football guy, but for the next 60 days now, we will have football on every single day of the week because Maction's back. So it's an exciting time, and fall break is happening. Birthday's coming up. Like I'm tired. I'm ready for everything to kind of slow down, and I know that you're doing a lot of other things. So it feels like it's a whirlwind, but we're here. Everybody gets to tune in, gets to tune out for however long you're going to stick around for. Hopefully you guys watch the full episode or listen to the full thing. Make sure you follow, subscribe. It's good to be back, Nick. It's good to be back.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't care for Maction. I don't know. I couldn't name you two Maction teams if I bet my life on it. But like I said, we have the equinox is upon us. The equinox is upon us. Preseason basketball has started already. Obviously, the NHL regular season started on Tuesday night. We'll get to that. Don't worry. And obviously, we still have WNBA and finals as well. On top of just having the Ryder Cup, on top of UFC fight this past weekend, it's the equinox, and the equinox is the best time of the year. So,
equinox is the best time of the year, and we get to start with what I think is going to be your favorite topic up until this point that we've ever talked about on this show, besides the championships with the Nuggets and the Avalanche. Football-wise, this is your first, like, last season was successful, but this is the first season where there were expectations. There are still expectations, but it seems like every single week as we see this team kind of put it together, they continue to cross things off of their list. And it was the first time that they've done it in their franchise since 1985, I believe was the last time they won in Philadelphia as the Denver Broncos. And in their franchise history, when they're down 14 points in the fourth quarter, historically up until this point, they were 1-122. They are now 2-122. They couldn't find the stat of when the last time that happened. But the Broncos walk into Philly, down 14 points in the fourth quarter, and Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, Courtland Sutton, the defense comes up huge in those moments. Vance Joseph kind of, it was cool to see Vance having some passion and some energy on the sidelines when his defense got that big stop. Jaquan McMillan coming up with a sack at the end of the game. I'm interested to see what you say about this because it's been sunshine and rainbows if you're in Denver sports media over the past few days. But there is the question of what the hell happened, what was going on in the first three quarters. There was good, there was bad, it was up, it was down. The best thing that I think a lot of people are taking away from this, Broncos can fight anybody. You don't have a bully that you're sitting there in the yard like, oh, I don't think that we have the firepower. No, you have the firepower. You can swing with anybody. But those mistakes will need to be corrected.
I mean, this is the second biggest win since Super Bowl 50. I'll say it. Second biggest win. The only other biggest win was beating Kansas City in Kansas City for the first time in 8 years, however long it was. And frankly, you could argue this is a little bit more because you beat the defending Super Bowl champs, who you don't play very often, right? Who you don't play twice a year, like you play the Chiefs, and you only get to go to Philly every. Like I said, I think last time they were in Philly was like 2018, so it's been 7 years, and you go on the road into their building, up by a lot. You force the Eagles to make mistake after mistake after mistake, and not necessarily mistakes in terms of turnovers. Because if you told me going into Sunday's game that the Denver Broncos were not going to cause a turnover, we were going to have 3 total points at the half, I would have said, all right, how much are we down by? That's how it is. But this defense is continuing to showing why it is the most elite defense in the NFL. We could have a second defensive player of the year this year, not named Patrick Surtain. We have the best pass rushers in the NFL up to this point this year. And for those saying, well, Garrett,
all pass rushers, by the way,
all pass rushers. He leads the league in sacks and leads the league in pressures. Nick fucking Bonito. Where if you don't know the name, remember the fucking name because the guy is worth every single penny we paid him in this offseason.
Remember the conversations that were being had after his rookie season coming out of Oklahoma? What a steal he's turned himself into. He plays in a great cast. That front defensive line, John Franklin Myers this year is scary. It's not even like
very good.
He's picking grown men up that are 300 pounds and launching them into the backfield. That is how he's making his plays.
And the Eagles' offensive line also, that is one of the best in the NFL. And he made Lane Johnson look like it's time to start joining his friend Jason Kelsey on the retirement line. That's how badly he made Lane Johnson look off the edge. And this defense, like I continue to say, is the best in football, and it still has holes that will be fixed. Right? You talk about Dre Greenlaw has not even touched the field. You talk about Malcolm Roach, your number one D tackle going into the season, hasn't touched the field. And Roach could be back this week in London. This defense is only going to get better. And this is why it's so important to have that game like you did where you beat the Bengals, beat the piss out of the Bengals, is because your offense, when it felt like it was down and out, they were able to figure it out and get back to their bread and butter. And that is use Cortland Sutton, who is probably, I will stand on 2 feet and say this, one of the most underrated NFL receivers in the NFL. One of the most underrated guys. You look at like the list, he will never be on the stratosphere of Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and all those guys. But he deserves to be in the conversation of the Mike Evans of the world, of the Keenan Allens of the world. Guys who are consistent pass catchers that aren't going to beat you over the top, aren't going to make the flashy plays, but you know you can rely on that to catch a third down ball, especially that 3rd and 17 ball, where they were driving down to try to take the lead, and we would have only had to settle for 3 if he didn't make this big-time catch, which, by the way, only 2 routes on that play were out there. It was the running back underneath and Cortland Sutton. And Bo Nix made that throw between 3 guys. This is the dependable ability of Cortland Sutton. Like I said, it's when you talk about the elite receivers, Sutton's not in the conversation, like I said. But when it comes to guys that has made Bo Nix's life as easy as it comes, there's no one else outside of number 14 that has made his life as easy as it is. And like I said, when you use Sutton as much as you have, that opens the game up for Ingram, who finally was in the touchdown back in the end zone today in the passing game.
Sean Payton finally called some plays for him.
It's crazy how we talked about the Joker all offseason, and we finally get and the Joker.
Dude, I don't know what the hell he was doing. He was playing him 25% of the snaps up until that point. You're starting Troutman over the guy that you're paying.
Maybe he wasn't healthy. Maybe that's maybe the only conversation.
That's really the only legitimate one, unless there was some sort of tiff in the locker room.
And he's had injury problems, and so a guy walking in the locker room for the first time, I would say there's probably not locker room problems right off the bat. The guy's still trying to get his footing, and it's considering the guy's had a lot of injury problems last year and the year before. I would assume it's that. So getting him into the pass game was awesome. Seeing obviously the ballsy play on the 2-point conversion, which I want to talk about here in a second.
Buffalo Soldier.
There were so many great things that made us show. Okay, this is why Sean Payton is a Super Bowl winning coach. This is why when the going gets tough, the Broncos aren't just going to lay over like in years past. You have nothing going for you. Your defense is luckily getting 3-and-out stops, but you are struggling to turn over the ball. And your defense continues to just give the ball back to your offense in a bad position. And your offense, outside of the first half, was driving down the field and making great plays consistently. And like I said, they're learning from their mistakes. That's the best thing. Learning from their mistakes. And nothing more to show than that 2-point conversion. Think about this mathematically, Jimmy. Right? You lost. I know we like to say what if people all in the show. But the Broncos are 2 game-winning field goals away from being 5-0. That's a fact. It's a fact. And you lost 2 games on game-winning field goals. What does that do when you go for 2 there? Couple things. One, you kick the field goal. You kick the extra point there. Eagles get the ball back with about 5 minutes left in the game. 5 minutes left. A lot of time. Knowing the Philadelphia Eagles offense, you give the ball to Saquon Barkley 3 times, he'll get 4 yards. Right? He'll get 4 yards at minimum.
5 minutes.
Exactly. Wind up 5 minutes, kick a field goal, game over. You're crying your sorrows. Be like, what the fuck happened? Right? Instead, what you have to do be like, all right, the Eagles have, by getting this 2-point conversion, if you don't get it, which by the way, 2-point conversions are about 50% now. It's 50-50 shot.
There's a full-on menu that they have that's like 15. These are only 2-point plays, and there are 15 of them that I can call at any moment.
It's a 50% chance you get it.
They're also the 4th and 2. It's the same plays that you have on 4th and 2 as you have for 2-point conversion.
Exactly. And that on that play, right? If you don't get it, you have 5 minutes to get stopped. You have 5 minutes to get stopped.
They threw it to Troy Franklin. who
I'm well aware.
I'm sure everybody's assholes were puckered up real tight when they were like.
Let me get through the logistics here because I think logistics is important. You don't get it. You're down by 1. Eagles have the ball back. Your defense has not let up a field goal in the second half. You have to trust your defense to at least get one stop so you have a chance to kick a field goal, right? You get it. What you do, you're in a situation where you force the Eagles' hand now. Eagles don't just comfortably sit and kick a 58-yard field goal now and total 20 yards down the field. They have to push the ball a little bit up the field, right? Make extra plays, make these extra passes, and force their hand a little bit. And when your defense is teeing off with as great a pass rush as they had the whole game, and a DB room that would play much, much better this past weekend, you were able to stop them and then kick your own field goal where now you force them in the back of the end zone. That is learning from your mistakes entirely. Like you can say the Peyton, the Sean Payton balls on him, and the reason why he did that, and going for 2, blah blah blah, 5 minutes left, blah blah blah. That was more of a fear factor, being like, I don't want to lose by a field goal again. Being like, I don't want to fucking deal with this shit again.
It also ties back into the team last season because remember in Cincinnati. They didn't go for 2 and go for the win, and they went into overtime and ended up losing that game, ended up not hurting them in the postseason. But Sean Payton understands that those are the split decisions. Those are the quick choices that you make as a coach on the sideline. And if that goes wrong, he's got enough cachet as a coach to be able to wear it and be like, analytically, it looks right. In my gut, in my balls, it felt right to go for 2. And
especially with how good your defense is playing. Too,
and obviously you can probably feel some momentum on that sideline as you finally go in and score because I think it was like the second or third play of the fourth quarter. They drove down at the end of the third quarter and were within striking distance. And then J.K. Dobbins goes in, who, by the way, J.K. Dobbins deserves a really big shout out as well. I'm glad that he got into the end zone because he wasn't able to score against Cincinnati.
By the way, a top 5 rusher in the NFL this year.
Yeah,
top 5. We haven't had a top 5 rusher. I don't.
And he's doing it in the old school way. He's doing it in the old school way where it's not those 65-yard breakaway touchdowns. He's hitting you for 16, 6, 4, 3.5, 15, but it's never over 25. It's never an explosive run, but he's consistent if you can continue to give him the ball. And I don't know what RJ Harvey did to Zach Bond, but whatever he did to cause that little forearm shiver at the end of that play, now, was it uber violent and egregious? It was definitely a penalty, but it was not uber violent, and it could have been a lot worse. But it was something about the way the Broncos were going at the Eagles that entire second half that Zach Bond felt like
it was a mental mind fuck.
They were mentally out of it, and this is a guy that's a Super Bowl champion. He's brought back to this team. He's trying to make some momentum back because obviously the Broncos had it all at that point, make a big hit, and he cost his team. And I think the Eagles were all out of sorts with their offensive side of the ball too, because Saquon Barkley ran the ball 6 times.
It was a mental mindfuck. That's as easiest way I could do it. Say it, because when you look at what this game looks like, right? The Eagles are undefeated, Super Bowl champs. The Broncos lost to the Colts and barely got swept by a couple teams, right? Swept by a couple bad teams. And they come in on the road and have to get blown out. A team that was on the cusp of barely making the playoffs, by the way. They had to make the playoffs in the last game last year. And they walk in your building, they said, we're bigger than you. We're just going to come right at you. But instead, what you saw was Sean Payton and Vance Joseph force Nick Sirianni to not just run the tush push every fucking 3rd and 1. There was an ownership to forcing the Eagles out of 3rd and 3 plus consistently. I don't know the statistics on this because we're not a Philly show here, and we shit on Philly probably more than any other city here. But they didn't use the tush push at all. That was the first game in a while. They did not even use it once. That shows me a couple things. 1, the Broncos took an ownership of making sure there was 3rd and 3 and back, right? And 2, the running game, you forced Jalen Hurts into passing situations where Devontae Smith beat Riley Moss like he usually does. Devontae Smith is good. That will happen once a game. That we've very well accustomed to that.
Whoever was in coverage on that last, I know that I'm not going to sit here and say that not calling the pass interference affected the outcome of the game, but that he definitely held got it down and pulled him to the ground. But who was that? Because he also got burned a couple other times.
I think it was either McMillan or it was
no,
it was J.L. Skinner.
J.L.
Skinner, who was a Boise State safety who came in and did that and was in zone coverage. Look, like I said, this defense still has holes, but you find ways to win. You find ways to win, and like I said, the biggest takeaways from this game is like, if there's any questions, the Broncos are for real. There's 0 questions now.
No,
Right?
that's
There's
the
0
biggest thing.
questions now.
They can fight anybody. They can walk up to anybody in the NFL, and
They're not afraid of anybody. They're not afraid of anybody.
You are
on
in
the road,
for
at
4
home,
quarters.
doesn't matter.
If this team is mentally locked in, you're in the fight for four quarters, and even if you're up by 14, which is what they just proved. Now, learning how to do that consistently is another thing. I think that this team is still young and will still have some growing pains along the way, but this is what everybody needed, especially, now you go into the international week. I just think that there's so much good that's going on. Denver is not out of the. I don't know. Do you consider them out of the rebuild, or do you still see it as a work?
This is the buildup. This is not. We're not even a rebuild anymore. We're building up towards what we want to be as a Super Bowl champion, right? You're on the cusp. You were a playoff team last year, right? This is like I think buildup is the best way to call it because, like I said, you feel like you weren't a playoff. You weren't a Super Bowl contender last year. You were a playoff contender last year, and now taking that step into playoff. What's the next step after playoff contention? Super Bowl contention, right? And you're building up towards that and trying to get towards that. And obviously, going into Philly and doing all that shows why you're able to do that now and hopefully take that next step. Because, like I said, there's a lot of teams that after their second year making the playoffs, I think about the Houston Texans. Right, CJ Stroud goes into the playoffs his rookie year, has a horrible second year. They are a fringe playoff team and they lose in the first round. Right, like you want to take those steps forward in your second year, and while you have a quarterback under a rookie contract, I cannot emphasize enough, quarterback under a rookie contract, or you paid your best defenders this way. You paid an offensive line that has been very, very good thus far. Garrett Bowles has been one of the best left tackles in football this year. And I will, like I said, we've given 72 a lot of shit on the show. He has the lowest amount of pressure rates in the NFL from the left tackle position. That is a high praise for a guy that
took him a while to catch up from not being a football player for a long time.
Exactly. He is taking that next step to being an elite left tackle.
Oh, and by the way, he was drafted as left tackle with nobody to look up to. Exactly. It wasn't like we had all pro that he could sit behind. He was drafted after Clady was already retired.
And that was I think that was the year or the year after Okun was there, where Okun was horrible for us, and he was just the biggest bust of offensive lineman draft pick or offseason signing we made, and then 1 year we draft Bulls, and obviously the rest is history. But like I said, it took him a while, but he is one of the best left tackles in football, and now an offensive line that obviously center has been a problem, but Miners has showed he's one of the best guards too. McGlinchey's been very, very good, but now you're walking into probably a month or 2 months probably without Ben Powers, and obviously that's going to be a big question mark. Denver Broncos fans' favorite guy on the field, number 63, won't be checking in as the extra down lineman. He'll be the right guard, or is Powers the left guard? I can't remember.
Powers is the left guard.
Yeah, you're right. So left guard. So he'll be filling in the left guard. It's a big question marks there because obviously you face the Jets this week, and the Jets do have Quentin Williams, one of the best interior defensive linemen in football, and he will be lining up against Palczewski, and that will be a big test for him. But I've had a lot of confidence in this offensive line, and I think Bo Nix is having more confidence as you see him more sitting in the pocket, and Sean Payton having more confidence and not having him to roll out every single time. Because like I said, I've said this from the beginning, Bo Nix is a much better quarterback when he can set his feet and direct the throw. Because when he was on the run, he's a decent run threat quarterback. There's no doubt. He's not by any means a bad on the run or on the run thrower, but he's way more accurate, way more dialed in, makes way better decisions when his 2 feet planted in the backfield.
All those rollouts against the Bengals were just body blows. They were just making sure the Bengals had to run 15 yards to chase him down. They didn't give a shit if they completed those passes or not, because that was why in the third and fourth quarter they were just able to do whatever they wanted. I'm interested to see, will Sean Payton continue to do what's successful? He established a running game the last 2 weeks. They could have done whatever they wanted to and beat the Bengals. We talked about it last week, and I gave the Broncos their credit, and I said the Broncos don't even give a shit about whether or not they beat the Bengals, and that's all true. But this weekend, sustained success. Now that you are this team that everybody is taking seriously because of who you just beat, it's a big letdown spot in normal circumstances.
It's a big difference, right?
You're going to another continent. You're playing against a team that absolutely, the letdown spot is this. You just came off playing an undefeated team.
You're now playing a winless team.
Yeah.
That's two entirely different worlds.
Justin Fields, I think, has played pretty well in London.
He has. Justin Fields, for the most part, has actually had a decent year. Frankly, the Jets just find ways of losing games, like they always do. It's like the Jets are the Jets. It's. I could say this every single year. Just put it on. Might as well make a soundboard saying the Jets still suck, and we can use it every single year of this podcast. It's a letdown spot where you're on the road, you're all that, this and the other thing, but then you have a position where. I think Sean Payton, if you did not have as good a coach as Sean Payton, that's where the letdown spot comes into. Because I look also to that game against Cincinnati. That was a letdown spot. That was also a letdown spot, right? You're playing Philly, the opposite sides of the most important game. Ask any college football team that just looked ahead on their schedule. The opposite sides, the game before and the game after of the look ahead game and the look behind game is always a trap game. And the Bengals one was a trap game, and now this one going forward, because you have your bye week after that, is a trap game as well. But one thing Sean Payton, I think, is better than most coaches at is he's been to London. He's coached in London. I've heard over report after report after report where I think his Saints team with who was one of their tight ends? It wasn't Jimmy Graham. I forgot who. One of the guys, or one of the offensive linemen in New Orleans during Sean Payton's tenure while they went to London. They all said, we're going to Belgium on Wednesday. And basically they did, and the team was horrible. And they got their shit wrecked, right? You have a coach that's had experience playing overseas. And
he's 3-0 all time in London.
So, he's had that experience where he knows exactly what it takes to go over the river, as opposed to Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets, who, like I said, are a bad team right now, and Aaron Glenn has never coached overseas. So it's a whole different world, and like I said, it's important to also recognize that when you have good a coach as you do.
And he deserves credit for being that good of a coach because he passed up Bill Parcells, who is his mentor. That's the guy who hired him onto his first NFL staff. 179 victories as a head coach, 170 regular season, 9 postseason. I know that he also, 9
is pretty low postseason.
But
I know it's the right number, but it's kind of crazy it's that low.
He's now going for, and this is what everybody's been talking about over the last 3 seasons since he was traded for and got brought in. He wants to be the only guy to win Super Bowls with multiple franchises. Yeah. Nobody else has ever done that.
No. People have been to Super Bowls. Obviously, Andy Reid went to Super Bowl with Philly and then won one with Kansas City, but never been done before. So it'd be a huge thing.
You would be lying to your face if you say Sean Payton doesn't care about legacy and records and all of that stuff. He wants to win football games first and foremost, but he knows about national. He knows about the standing and the history of the game.
He knows everything. It's almost funny listening to him talk during press conferences, because you're like, this guy knows all the questions that are going to be asked to him. It's like he knows how to, and he's very methodical with how he speaks too. Because like I said, listening to him, and this is one thing I've noticed, and as a guy that has listened to so many press conferences and listened to coaches talk, and all that, he's very methodical every single word he says. He's slow, methodical, and makes sure A, he doesn't say the wrong thing, and B, and B is 3 steps ahead of every answer, every question that is answered.
He uses the media against his own team. Whenever he has those freakouts at the reporters, he's really talking to his actual players sitting in the locker room. It's beautiful. As a psychology and a sociology guy, it's like watching a psychopath get interviewed after they catch him for the murder. He's never going to admit to it, but how is this profiler going to get him to admit to it without admitting to it? That's what he's doing. He's sitting there like, it's great to have won this game, and I'm honored to have the game ball. And what he's really saying is, I called that motherfucking 2-point conversion and put my nuts on the table, and we won this bitch in Philadelphia. This is where I grew up. I'm a Phillies fan. I'm a Flyers fan.
You saw what they did after, or you heard about what they did after.
That was a lot of cigar smoke.
No, not just that. Did you hear
fog machines?
No, not just that. Did you hear about what the bus? About the bus?
Nico, they were going on a 14-hour plane ride right
I have sat on team buses before. I know what those conversations look like. No. They asked to say, let's go down Broad Street and say, motherfuck you guys, here's the Broncos bus that just came into your thing. That had me dying laughing.
You remember John Gruden taking big laps around.
Because Because in the back of my head, I'm sitting here and being like, "Oh, please don't listen to this, my coaches. Please don't listen to this." Because I'm the person that has to make sure the bus gets to the right place at the right time, and I'm just sitting here and be like, "Oh, they're gonna send the bus down through the city or down through bad ideas," and I'm just like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And then I know that person in the front, whoever was the ops guy sitting in the front seat, was like, "Look." He was definitely saying we can't do this. We gotta be smart.
20 more seconds to say F and then we gotta go.
We can't do this. We have to be smarter here. It's a long picture. But he like, for those that obviously weren't aware, I think it was it Brant? No, who was the guy that was on Good Morning Football that moved to ESPN? What's his name?
Peter Schrager.
Peter Schrager broke the story of being like, yeah, Sean Payton wanted to drive the bus after the game down Broad Street and watch every single fan of the Eagles, which also the Phillies are playing at the same time or playing on the same day. I don't know if it was in the same city.
I think it's
playing on the
same
day.
Weekend, yeah.
Same weekend. And it was just crazy, all madhouse mayhem down there. And he was like, let's go enjoy this. Let's watch all those Eagles fans be pissed off for the next 20 or the next week and a half.
Is that Sean Payton with a stogie driving an 18-wheeler bus? Why is he in the driver's seat? Does he have a beer can with him? What's going on here?
I hadn't laughed that hard internally in a while, and because I just know the ops guy is just losing his damn mind. I'm just like, he was just like, I can't do this. It's like, we need to be smarter than this. We can't, like, coach, we can't do this. Sorry, coach. Dude, like, but think about it. It'd be so much fun. I've had those type of things where it's like, this isn't a good idea. Let's not do this kind of things. And it was funny just thinking about the guy that had to deal with that. So good for you and sweet talking Sean Payton out of it.
I wish he would have been able to go down Broad Street. Looking at it from a Philly perspective, because they are playing Thursday night, it's interesting to me how much. I mean, obviously the Philly media and the Philly fan base and the Philly players, like, I don't envy Nick Sirianni in his position because you have so much shit. Like you're just the stall guy at the circus. You're shoveling elephant shit all day. I got AJ Brown whining about not getting enough touches, and he blindfolded Devontae Smith on that last Hail Mary. I don't know if you saw that still picture, but it's AJ Brown's hands around Devontae Smith's eyes as his hands are on the ball before it hits the ground.
He's playing as good a defense as Surtain or not Surtain, Hufanga was, who hit the ball out of their hands. He's playing just as good defense.
You have that. You got to answer the fact, why didn't you hand the ball off to Saquon? I know that they have a good defense, and I know that they can stop the run, but if you just act like you're going to hand it to Saquon every now and then. Like
I said, this is why I go back to the 2-point conversion. It was the mental freak out.
Well, but before that, in the entire third quarter, they didn't hand it to him once. They threw him the 175-yard bomb for a touchdown, but it was almost like if you have a Ferrari or if you have a thoroughbred, why are you going to keep it in the garage?
It reminded me of, I think it was not the quarterback show on Netflix. What's the other
receiver?
There was one where they talked about where it maybe it was NFL Films caught it up, but there was a game where it was what's it called? It was the Hard Knocks with the GM, where Saquon was playing New York, and then Sirianni sat with Barkley being down by, like, do you want to go back in the game? Do you want to rush for X amount of yards? And Barkley was like, nah. Back of my mind, that sat there. That felt like what Sirianni was doing. He was like, let's just get out of here. Let's end this game, throw the backups in the game, move on to Thursday night. I think that's what the whole attitude was that whole second half. Which you can't do. I know it wasn't by a lot.
And I know, but you do that, especially in the NFL. I don't do that. I don't do that at the youth football level. To dumb it down to the lowest common denominator, I don't put my backups in until we're up by 14. Yeah. So the fact that you're only up by 7 and your offense has done diddly squat the entire season, not just this game, the entire season, your offense has been questioned. You have a new offensive coordinator because Kellen Moore is going and ruining the Saints out in New Orleans. But, like, at some point, somebody's got to turn around and go, wait a second, Saquon has gotten the ball how many times? Yeah, we should get him the ball a little bit more, especially because Alex Singleton's the hole in the defense.
Not even just running the ball. Put him in a route. He'll outrun Singleton.
6 touches in the second half, running and passing.
Just nuts. Like I said, it's a workhorse.
If I was a
franchise.
Philly fan, you're already waking up pissed off. But if I was a Philly fan on Monday morning,
Trust me, and Philly fans decided to bash the refs every chance they could get, which there were some calls. Don't get me wrong, there were some calls, but at the same time, you don't want to talk about losing a 17-3 lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And by the way, the team that you're complaining got help from the refs also lost a game where they were winning the entire fourth quarter with a leverage penalty. And I think that's the third time that a leverage penalty has been called in the NFL history since it's been written into the rulebook.
So let me play you the world's smallest violin, Philly. And don't worry, your Philly season is going to end here shortly when the Dodgers beat you as well. So don't worry, you can start looking forward to the Sixers and Flyers season. It's just so annoying. I laugh. I don't know who the hell the guy is at Barstool. That's the Philly guy, but I laugh every time he has a freak out because he's the whiniest little baby in the world.
I love him. It's the producer, by the way. It's the producer of Pardon My Take, Max.
I don't even know. He's the whiniest little baby. Every time something bad happens to Philly, I make sure to look at how much he's going to whine and bitch and cry. It's very funny.
He's in his Phillies overalls for this baseball series because they forced him to be in his Phillies overalls on the podcast.
Don't worry, it won't last long. The Dodgers gave them a little bit a pity win. So here, I guess don't get swept. Take a win. Here, they threw Kershaw out there who's retiring this year. Be like, just pitch. Oh, we don't care how many runs you give up. Just pitch.
Yeah, no, I put up a tweet from the Philly guy on Barstool and said, I'm not responsible for the actions that I have when my team shits the bed. I was like, obviously it doesn't say shits the bed on the tweet, but I'm like, I definitely feel that one. And I'm not responsible for the actions of what happens when things don't go my way either. That was not the only upset that took place this weekend. NFL and college had a ton of upsets, but I think the biggest one that we should touch on here is Sunday Night Football. Drake May goes into Buffalo with Stephon Diggs. I don't know if you saw, I guess I know that I've been giving Stephon Diggs a lot of shit, but he is a guy that takes things very personally, and he is a professional athlete. So
don't worry. I'm well aware of that. You traded Stephon Diggs to my fantasy football opponent last week. And he decided to drop 35 on me.
It wasn't
for. I lost.
I'm going to sit here and say, Nico, I texted him and said, I really hate that I'm giving him up right when he's starting to figure it out, but I needed a quarterback. And I didn't want to put my hands in Tua and JJ McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. It didn't feel that right to me. I already said it. It's probably the season that I'm retiring on, but I know every single decision that I make blows up in my face. So it wasn't to do anything with you. I was trying to make my team better. We scored points. We were consistent throughout my lineup, but I still lost.
I've been crucified in this league for fleecing a trade that I lost to the opponent to this week. And everyone crying and moaning that I fleeced the deal last week and blah, blah, blah. And then here we go. I lose to the guy who I fleeced, quote unquote.
No, it's just insane. This is why people have anger issues and drinking problems, because you do all of this research and you do all of this scouting, and I know who's questionable, I know who's playing, but I don't get 30 points out of it. You only caught 5 passes, Cooper Kupp. I know that you guys went up 40, but you couldn't have at least asked for the ball a couple more times. Be selfish. I go straight from coach to fantasy football owner in 2 weeks or in 2 seconds.
It's a different world.
I don't like it. I'm not a fan as much as you are. I know that you love it, but it's tough for me. With this win, what does it do for you with New England? Is this the same magnitude of an upset as what we were just talking about with the Broncos and the Eagles? Is this something where the Patriots can look at it? Because everybody said it. This is Josh Allen's division now that Tom Brady's gone and he's the established quarterback. Yet it didn't go his way. It didn't go well.
Well, a couple things. One, I think the Broncos was a far more bigger upset. I think it was like we were a plus 8.5 just betting lines, and I think this game was at least a 2.5, 3.5 because New England has played good football recently, and Buffalo has looked shaky against some decent teams as opposed to bad teams. I mean, look, I think you can take a couple factors in this game. One, obviously, Stephon Diggs wanted to make it as personal as possible.
He took a page out of Baker Mayfield's playbook, he copied it, and made it his own.
I think he pretty much called his number every set. Drake May, not throw me the ball. I would, if I were to take a wild guess, I would say Stephon Diggs sat in that huddle, and after Drake May called the play and they broke the huddle, it'd be like, throw me the ball.
I know you play Madden just as much as I do. It's the X factor with one of the receivers. Like, if he's not targeted once every three
there's
times.
probably a hand signal where Drake May looked over to Stephon Diggs, and Diggs probably just.
You know what it was? It was this
or something.
It was one of these. He's like, if you don't
give me the ball,
if you don't throw me the ball, I'm gonna come back to the huddle. I'm gonna grab you by the throat.
I'll have Cardi B write this track on you or something. That's what'll happen. I mean, Diggs looked great. Obviously, Vrabel, that's a huge win. Biggest win of Vrabel's Patriots tenure by far and away.
It's a signature win.
The defense has looked very, very good for New England. Like I think this is more of a New England is real than it is a Buffalo is down. And I think that's the biggest scary part about Buffalo for Buffalo fans and what they're dealing with, because I still think this is Josh Allen's division. I'm not ready here to claim Drake May, here's the crown, take over the division. But I am ready to say that the gap is closing, and you're not facing Jacoby Brissett or facing Jimmy Garoppolo or facing
Squishy Mac Jones.
Like you're Mac Jones. You're not facing a Patriots team of old. And like I said, the weapons, I think, at Drake May's disposal has really been helpful. Hunter Henry has had a great year. Obviously, having a number one receiver. Mac Jones didn't have a number one receiver in 2 years. Could you name?
He also didn't have an offensive coordinator, Nico. He had Matt Patricia and Bill O'Brien.
Which I want to have a conversation about Patriots coaches. Don't worry, we'll have that here in a second, because there's other news in the former Patriot coach cycle that I want to talk about. McDaniels has helped him a lot, and I think, like I said, Vrabel has them believing, and that's we said that when we started the show. It's like, can't count out the Titans. They're going to give everybody a game. They're going. It doesn't matter if it's just Derrick Henry and the ghost of Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. They will give you a game. They'll give you a game. They'll give you a game and make your life miserable, and that's what the Patriots are learning to do. It's what makes this Patriots team so deadly, and Vrabel so deadly as a coach. So it was a big win for the Patriots, and like I said, the Bills. You're no longer just rolling over the worst division of football. Now you have one team. I'll stay with one team, because I don't think the Jets aren't doing anything. The Jets aren't doing anything. The Dolphins are just as bad. So yeah. At least you have one team knocking on the door.
It's probably good for them, because I think the biggest issue for Buffalo in this stretch where you can't beat Kansas City is because who have the Chiefs had to beat over the last few years to be where they are? It was I know that the Broncos weren't. It wasn't the Broncos at that moment, but it was all of these other teams that are chasing them. And now you have the Patriots that are chasing you in your own division. If you take this the right way, the spin zone for Buffalo fans is like, okay, now we have somebody that's gonna. We're beatable, but we have somebody that they're almost catching us. So obviously we're not as good as we fucking think we are. So we got to get ourselves a little bit better and figure out how to make sure this doesn't happen again.
And that's one thing KC did so well this whole Mahomes tenure that, frankly, the other teams or other teams that have tried to win dynasties have not done, and that's like retool, right? You look at that first Super Bowl. They had Tyreek Hill. They had Kelsey. They had great running game and Kareem Hunt. Like, now you look at this team, right? It's built off Kelsey. It's built off a running game. It's built off a strong offensive line that imposes their will.
A defensive line that forgets to chase down the quarterback. Sorry.
Exactly. They are, like I said, that's one thing Buffalo, and that's what Baltimore, and that's what Cincinnati, you can throw in the conversation, because they were in the AFC Championship game.
That one year that we were in the Super Bowl, we were chasing the Chiefs for damn sure.
Every team that has faced the Chiefs along the way of going to the Super Bowl, they have struggled to re-identify themselves and get a new identity and be able to build upon it. Because, like I said, if you roll out the same shit every single week, it's still going to smell like shit. It may look a little bit prettier, but it's still the same shit. You can clean it up as much as possible, but until you clean it and actually make changes and do all the things, and I think Buffalo has done that. I do think that they have actually made the right changes. I think McDermott should be a guy that's on the hot seat if they can't win a Super Bowl, or at least get to the AFC Championship game this year. But they've re-identified their offense, right? James Cook has been huge. They have a two-headed monster at tight end, Kincaid and Knox.
Joe Brady's actually running the football.
Their defense still is probably the biggest question mark. They struggle. Joey Bosa is not what he once was.
He's not his brother either.
And not having Ed Oliver the last 3 weeks has hurt them a lot on the pass rush as well, and made these corners really, really struggle. So that's probably their biggest headache. But Buffalo can still, like I said, this is like, and I'm not trying to diss what the Patriots just did, but this is like when the Broncos beat the Chiefs 2 years ago with Russell Wilson. It's like, it's a good win. I need more.
Yeah,
I need more. No, I need more. It's a good win. It's a great win. But I need more. Like, show me what else you got.
If they can put this thing together and turn this into a streak, let's look at what they have coming up. So they play the Saints this week. That'll come up in both of our pick'ems. The Titans the week after, the Browns, the Falcons, the Bucks. So now, after this huge win on Sunday Night Football, you have 3 very winnable games. So like you can
sorry, you said Saints. What was the line?
Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons.
Yeah, Saints, Browns, Titans are definitely.
You could walk into mid-November at 8-3.
True.
And
true.
That is, I know that I was the one that said they were probably going to finish second in this division, and you laughed at me. But that's a legitimate possibility right now.
I think it was more me thinking that the Jets and Dolphins were going to be this bad.
That's also true.
They have been the absolute worst in the NFL.
I can't believe Mike McDaniel is still employed. I figured it's just getting worse and worse because the Carolina Panthers came back from 27 down against you. I don't know how this turned into an AFC East.
Say the team that did that again.
The Carolina Panthers.
That's right. Just wanted to make sure you said Carolina Panthers and not like the Buffalo Bills or Kansas City Chiefs or
no. It wasn't one of those teams that you actually have to worry about.
It's the Carolina Panthers. Yeah.
If I said Georgia Bulldogs, Nico, you would have believed me more than if I said Carolina Panthers.
Way more.
So that's where we're sitting at. But that's also why the NFL is where it is because it's something that we get told as high school is trying to go to college, you're the 0.01%. If you're a college athlete playing in college football, all of the levels, even the Division I level, it's the 0.001% of players that make it into the NFL and consistently play at the top level, and you can call best players in the world. This is why no matter who you are, when you're making millions of dollars, you can figure out a way to get yourself a win. I don't know why it always has to be against when I'm playing against them because Spencer Rattler, I thought I had this thing sewn up. I thought going up against Spencer Rattler as the opposing fantasy quarterback was going to lead me to victory with the amount of interceptions that he was going to throw. Oh, no, Nico, he threw 4 touchdowns. And the Saints upset the Giants, who I have Jackson Dart as my quarterback, who looked like absolute dog shit against the New Orleans Saints.
First win of Spencer Rattler's career, 11 games.
1-10.
Crazy. Just absolutely crazy.
1-10. Sticking in the NFC South, Tampa Bay, are they going to realize that there's 3 quarters to play before the last 2 minutes? I know Baker loves making it cinematic, but you can make these things a little bit easier for you. Maybe you wouldn't have to deal with as many injuries because Mike Evans is now out again. He was doubtful and he's been ruled down to out. Maybe you wouldn't have as many injuries on everything.
The Buccaneers. I don't like saying I have the NFC team, but they're one of my favorite teams to watch.
I love Baker.
I love every second of Baker. Ibuka has been so much fun to watch too. The jerseys, the uniform,
that was awesome this past weekend. The throwback Seahawks with the cream of the
white
Tampa
cream
Bay.
Skulls. Oh my god!
Oh, by the way, did you see the video of Baker in the tunnel? John.
That's what I want my quarterback to do. Exactly.
You guys suck. Oh yeah, but you're up there and I'm down here, what are you gonna do now?
One of my 2 of my biggest regrets the Broncos never did was obviously one was not draft Josh Allen and they drafted Bradley Chubb in 2017, and 2 not trade for Baker Mayfield with the whole Cleveland saga and traded for Russell Wilson instead. And those are 2 things that I sit back here and be like, oh, if I had Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, I would be so happy right now. Like I said, it's not slight to Bo Nix, but like Baker is just fun. He's just fun. Like they have Vita Vea doing the aura thing where they do the little dance thing in the end zone on interceptions. I'm just like, well, I can't hate this team. I literally have to find excuses to hate this team. I can't.
Them and they're a lot more likable than the Eagles.
Way more likable.
The Eagles are the only two.
Eagles fans are assholes. Tampa Bay fans are not assholes.
Tampa Bay fans are Bert Kreischer. You realize that? Yeah. Tampa Bay fans are the machine. All of them. They're all a little bit overweight, white guys that like to take their shirts off and wear flip-flops everywhere. That's what Tampa fans are. And that's why Baker fits in so well, because I feel like that's what Baker's going to be in retirement. He's going to be the guy on the beach. Maybe it's Lake Travis back in Austin, because I know that he still has a house out there. But if there was ever a guy that you can, yes, he is short. No, he doesn't throw the ball as far as Jamarcus Russell does on his knees. But does he win?
He can throw the ball pretty far.
I mean, now he can throw it pretty far, but I'm like, when he's coming up throughout this process, because he did not get a scholarship until he was a walk-on and proved himself. He was drafted number 1 overall, but the Cleveland Browns,
everyone thought he would have been the 5th quarterback taken in that draft class, by the way. Like there was real people conversations
this
about
weekend.
Darnold. Let's talk about that draft class. It was Baker, it was Darnold, it was Josh Rosen, it was Josh Allen, and it was Lamar Jackson. Everybody nearly had Baker as the 3rd or 4th or 5th guy in that draft. Darnold was like the clear one. Rosen even jumped up a couple times. Josh Allen was in that conversation too. And look, obviously Josh Allen's had a great career, and Lamar Jackson has won MVP too. But Baker Mayfield, he's showing that he's easily that the gap between those two and him is not far off.
No, and I don't know if it's happened before, but we had 2 top 5 overall draft picks playing for different teams than they were drafted to as starting quarterbacks this past weekend, and they both look like top 5 overall picks.
Quarterbacks, it's all about the situation. I'll say that even more. It's the coaching, it's the situation.
I'll say it's a little bit experience too.
Like I'm not saying Jamarcus Russell would have been this all-world talent, but if he actually had a coach that was a little bit hard on him, do you not think that the guy could have turned into Cam Newton if he had a work ethic? Do you think Johnny Manziel, if he had the right guys around him telling him, let's not be a fucking idiot, he could have actually got the Browns to a playoff game? I think so. They were so talented. I think so. Like those guys that were just so incredible in college, and you just think about guys like that. You're like, why did they never even pan out? And it's like, oh, they had 3 head coaches in 3 years. Oh, they had new OC like 4 OCs in 2 years because they kept firing them.
It seems like the team was actively working against them.
And you can see that across the NFL. Look at Jacksonville. Look what Trevor Lawrence is doing with Liam Cohen.
Oh my gosh! Liam Cohen's not super happy about that relationship, but he's making it work.
Oh, he is having a great time. They may hate each other at times, but he's like, oh, I'm happy I have Trevor Lawrence here, right? Yeah. Like go across to Phoenix, Arizona. Kyler Murray has had 5 coaches in 7 years. Yeah. He's had no stability whatsoever. Like it goes without the show, a right coach, and this is why the confidence of getting Bo Nix and Sean Payton's system is way different. Because, like I said, as much as I love Josh Allen, he would have dealt with some bad coaches if we drafted him, and who knows if he would have been like this, right? Like seriously, like Josh Rosen went to Arizona as well, horrible. You look at also Sam Darnold. That situation in New York is football hell. I think I can confidently say that it's football hell. And then you look at what Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, 5 quarterbacks, all still, or 4 out of 5, excuse me, not 5. 4 out of 5 still starters in the NFL, and 4 of them are top 15 guys. I think Darnold's obviously fringe, but you can't sit here and say Lamar, Josh Allen, and Baker aren't top 10 guys each.
Yeah, no, they're turning out to be what everybody expected them to be. They are definitely guys that can lead teams. Who knows what the postseason success is going to look like, because they all still need to prove it that way. And that goes for Lamar and Josh Allen too. You have to get past the conference championship. For a couple of them, you have to win playoff games consistently. But it's interesting to see how things continue to evolve and play out. Anything else with the NFL last week before we move on and talk some of the college upsets that happened?
Well, I mean, before we jump into the college, and I want to bring this with the NFL conversation. I don't know if you know about the coaching carousel that's going on in North Carolina, but Bill Belichick may be looking for a buyout already.
Yeah, if he triggers the buyout, it's only $1 million. If the school triggers the buyout, it's like $80 million.
I don't know what is going on. I think, and I saw them. I heard them talking about this morning on Altitude. They were like, I think what Bill Belichick is doing, and what North Carolina signed up for, is 2 entirely different things. I think North Carolina was signed up for a guru head coach, no nonsense. This and the other thing is going to straighten the guys out in line, but instead they got a coach that is enjoying his house or on the beaches in North Carolina, as opposed to actually sitting down and coaching the team and hanging out at frat parties with his college girlfriend. Like
they wanted Nick Saban and got Steve Spurrier.
And the thing about like the comparisons, and I think Saban's a good comparison because he was not built for the NFL game. We could tell that right away. He left the NFL game and became one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college football coach of all time, with one of the greatest dynasties in football history. And then you look at what Spurrier did. Spurrier was still good when he went back to college as well at South Carolina for a few years, where they were actually manageable. Belichick might have stained his legacy more than anybody. Because let's play a little bit of what if scenario. If Bill Belichick gets fired, will he get another coaching job anywhere?
No.
Okay, fair enough. If Urban Meyer was offered a college coaching job, do you think a team out there, just say Florida, for instance, if Florida was desperate, do you think they would call Urban Meyer? And do you think that they'd worry about them actually being legit again and actually think that they'd have a chance?
Urban Meyer in North Carolina says a lot more right now than Bill Belichick does.
I think that you look at, because I think why I say that is because they're the two worst probably coaching decisions. I mean, biggest big name coaching decisions. Obviously, Hackett was a horrible decision, but big name coaching decisions, blunders of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Obviously, Urban Meyer in Jacksonville, and what I'm talking about, which lasted a year barely, where he
8 games.
Do we need to go down that list of him?
Kicked a kicker, finger to co-ed. Didn't go back on the team playing after football with the team. What else can we throw in there?
Well, we
had a heart attack on the sideline.
We talked about that on this show. Funny enough, that's how more recent it's been. I would love to hear your take. Which is worse? Between Urban Meyer, Jacksonville, and then Belichick here in North Carolina. I clearly think it's North Carolina.
It's North Carolina
I think because
what Mac Brown had that team doing before they fired him and went with Bill Belichick, they were perennial bowl contenders, and the ACC is not good, but they were in conversations for making the ACC championship more often than not under Mac Brown. And you brought in Bill Belichick, and you're calling timeouts down 25 points with 3 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, it's like I kid you not. I think the past season at North Carolina with Bill has proven that it was Tom.
It was all Brady.
It was Tom. Tom may have gotten the Patriots more jobs than Peyton did his coaches. I'm serious. Look at the coaches that have been in New England. And I still say coaches because Vrabel doesn't fall under that because he's a player. Okay. And so it's a different conversation. But look at the coaches. McDaniels, 2 of the worst coaching stints in NFL history. One here in Denver, and one here and one in Vegas. Both horrible. Ended horribly. Patricia, horrifying in Detroit. Like on the verge of the worst, like relegated to college football when he had them.
Yep.
You look at Bill
O'Brien.
Look at Bill O'Brien. Horrible in the NFL. Had a couple good years in college, and it's really been now a middle of the road college football quarterback or coach, and that's it. And you go down the list more. Bill, after Tom, what did he do? Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And then he goes to North Carolina and tarnishes his legacy more than he helped it.
Well, I think he took this job not wanting to make the program good, but when he buys himself out with $1 million that he has saved up from all that NFL coaching money, he's probably going to turn the program over to his son. Here's the question. I
don't even know if North Carolina wants.
I was going to say, I don't think North Carolina. That was the plan. I don't think that Bill Belichick was here to win national championships, but he was here to give the program over to his kid because nobody else is going to give his kid a head coaching job.
Do you remember their first game of the season?
Yes.
They were on ESPN primetime against TCU.
They were the standalone game that first weekend of college football.
They got their absolutely ass kicked by, I think it was TCU. It was TCU. And no slight to TCU because they're a good program. Obviously, it was the national championship a couple years ago. But they are nowhere near like the aura of what Bill Belichick should have been. If you told me 5 years ago that Bill Belichick was going to go coach a college team, and he wouldn't be able to win a football game. I remember, what happened?
He's won one.
I know, but consistently have a good football team. have a good football team. He'd be one of the worst teams in college football. I'd be like, you're lying to me. I'd be like, I could like theoretically, obviously not including this recruiting and scouting and all that. Theoretically, I should put the best head coach in the NFL and put him on a college team, and that team at least be a playoff team. Correct?
You should.
Theoretically, if I put Andy Reid on, just say Wisconsin for that matter, Wisconsin, you'd think Wisconsin would be able to at least, be a ranked football team, one, and two, be competing for a college football playoff spot. Maybe not best team in the country, but at least competing for a playoff spot. I don't know how much worse it could have gotten for North Carolina than what has transpired here.
What North Carolina failed to prepare for, and I think what CU kind of failed to prepare for a little bit in that initial season, is how much everybody else is going to fucking hate you.
Bill Belichick
is making beat your ass.
Bill Belichick is making Deion Sanders look like fucking Bear Bryant. Like
I'm not even trying to sit here and compare them, but I'm just saying when you bring in a high profile coach at the college level, every other team is sitting there like, if I beat Bill Belichick's team, people are going to remember me. I might get drafted because of my performance against Bill Belichick's team or Deion Sanders' team. One of those, like that's what we're sitting there. Dan Lanning did the entire the locker room video. He's like, the show's over. And his program is now skyrocketed from that moment of kicking the shit out of Deion's Buffaloes that season, when everybody knew that they had no business being on the field with them, but it was the hype. So now when you bring in all of this hype, if you're not there to back it up with substance, teams are just going to try and embarrass you. And that's what's happening in North Carolina. And they didn't plan for that.
And they should have, because it looks like one of the biggest mistakes in college football history.
I think it is. Not necessarily. I mean, going with biggest mistakes in college football history, we talked about Nico Iamaleava. What he did to Penn State at home, it doesn't prove that he was right.
Hold on. I'll win this UCLA, by the way. I'll win this.
Very winless UCLA team. By the way, Nico never had a lead the entire season. They got out to a 17-0 lead against Penn State. And we talked about the trap game. This is the look behind trap game where you're sitting there thinking like, fuck, we could have beat Oregon and gotten this top 10 monkey off of our back. Oh shit, we're playing UCLA and we're down 17-0. Shouldn't be that big of an issue, right? They're winless on the season. Oh, they scored again. Oh yeah, they have a former 5-star quarterback who's 6'6", runs like a deer, and can throw the ball all over the field. They might actually be okay.
And a coach that the team just beloves. I don't know.
It's Neuheifel.
Yeah, the guy with the long hair, like a coach that he just adored.
Former quarterback of UCLA, and his dad is the main broadcast guy for CBS.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite videos to watch over the weekend, was his dad watching that final sequence where Iamaleava scored his last rushing touchdown and kind of put the game away. But like Penn State sucks going to the West Coast because they almost lost to USC last year too. They had to make a heroic comeback at the end.
But at the same time, it's USC versus UCLA. Yeah. I mean, like, we talked about UCLA being the worst program in college football.
I still think they will be. I think that they can still finish the season 1-10, even with all the momentum that they built up with this win.
That'd be so funny. I mean, like that Penn State has zero chance to make the playoff now, right? Like
they have to win out, because if they win out, they beat Indiana and Ohio State. That's the only way.
Let's see, and that's like pushing.
They've never done it.
It's begging. Like. Well, they've beaten Indiana, but like obviously beating Ohio State.
They've never beaten a top 5 team on the road, and that's both those situations right now. It'll be different because Indiana has a big ranked matchup against Oregon this week, so maybe it's not a top 5 team, but it'll be a top 15 team if Indiana's only lost is Oregon at that point. And James Franklin struggles in ranked matchups on the road, and you got to go to Columbus, you got to go to Bloomington. You already screwed the pooch in Los Angeles. That was supposed to be your easy one.
James Franklin has been lucky that he's been a great recruiter. Like I think he should be a GM somewhere in college football. He should not be a head coach. Let's put it that way. Because like look at the guys he's brought in, right? Barkley, right? Parsons, Abdul Carter, Tyler Warren, right? Like high level talent. High level talent. Some of the best in the country has come in to play for Penn State. Like first time since Paterno was the head coach that was happening, right? They can't put them in the right direction. It's like for my Fortnite fans out there, it's like giving a novice the best gun in the game. It does nothing to them. It does nothing for them. It's cool. You think they may get a couple shots off here and there and blindly get a win, but they're not going to consistently put up good numbers and win the game.
They don't even really fire with the best gun. It's like having the best gun, but not using it. You're using something else in the entire round.
Like I said, I can't say the NFL talent that has come out of Penn State has been great. It's very, very good. Like the best running back in NFL right now is from Penn State. Right, the one of the best tight ends in football, I think you can confidently say is Tyler Warren, because he's been great so far for Indianapolis. Micah Parsons is one of the best edge rushers in football. Abdul Carter has looked great in New York. Like I just it's rags to riches, man. Like he needs to he badly needs like a legit offensive coordinator like that can just put him in his place.
An offensive coordinator that will tell him to shut up and I'm going to run what I want to run on fourth down.
An offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator that is like putting him in check, because it seems like whoever the OC in DC is consistently is just sitting there not trying to piss him off. And his ego is too big that he just continues losing bad games. And frankly, he may lose his job if he can't.
He's also benefiting from the situation. Nobody wants to go coach at Happy Valley. You're following the biggest scandal in the entire sport that's ever happened.
It is 15 years.
I'm not saying that there's a ton, but I don't think. I mean, Kurt Cignetti might take that job if it's offered, but at this point, is it a lateral move? Because Indiana is actually starting to give resources, and if he's able to continue to bring in these transfers.
I also understand that, but Indiana doesn't have the legacy that Penn State has, and Penn State
what legacy?
Penn State was in the Final Four last year.
I know.
I understand. We talked about it.
When's the last time they won a title?
They were in the Final Four. Indiana hasn't even won a playoff game ever.
I understand. I think that Cignetti can look at. He can look at his situation in Indiana right now.
I
think that he can outperform India. I think he can outperform Penn State with Indiana this season, and then he'd look at that as like, I don't really.
It's a bad comparison between like the legacy of two schools, because Indiana is a pushover fucking college football program.
But look at what Penn State is.
I'm well aware. I'm well aware we're talking about here now, but at the same time, like, if Cignetti leaves, are they going to be able to keep this up? No. You and I both know the answer.
It would depend on who they bring in.
You and I both know.
If they bring in another Bulldog like what he's doing right now, he's proven that you can do this wherever, because Indiana shouldn't be as good as they are.
There is a difference between Penn State and Indiana, because you feel we are both confident Penn State could fill a better shoe of James Franklin over with Penn State, correct?
Who are they going to?
I don't know, but they can replace somebody better than him, right? Indiana. As much, like I said, I think this is inarguable, because Cignetti is a great coach. He leaves. What is Indiana? Seriously, what is Indiana? Like, give me a coach that would prefer, if Cignetti leaves, just spitball him. Say Cignetti leaves to Florida. Just say it. Like, he leaves to Florida, right? I don't know if it's going to happen. There's no sources on that. Say he leaves to Florida, and James Franklin gets fired. Which job is more coveted?
I know what you're talking about, but
it's 100% not even fucking close. Penn State, not even close.
If you get the offer between the two schools and you see what they're willing to put into their programs, I don't think that there's as much.
If both are gone,
yes, no, but I'm not talking about the coaches. I'm talking about the athletic departments right now. Indiana basketball sucks worse than Indiana football right now. So obviously Indiana is putting a lot more resources. I think that the schools are going to make a comparable offer between the two, and you're going to the middle of nowhere. And you're not going to have there's no starlight out in Happy Valley, just like there's not any in Bloomington. I think that the schools right now can make it comparable, because James Franklin has tarnished the legacy of what Penn State is, and Kurt Cignetti has raised the legacy of what Indiana is.
Remove both coaches. I'm a 5-star defensive end. Do I go to Penn State or do I go to Indiana? Both coaches are gone.
Indiana right now can offer you a comparable deal at Penn State. You're not doing shit at Penn State.
I ain't going to the fucking league.
You could.
No.
Yeah.
If I'm a 5-star defensive end,
you're not just going.
Where am I going?
Based on your 5-star recruit at Penn State, you got to be damn good in college. That's
it's
what
not necessarily.
I'm
well aware of that. I'm well aware of that. But if I have a 5-star defensive end or 5-star anything, and I will have plans of going to the NFL, and Cignetti's not there, and James Franklin's not there, it's not even a discussion. And frankly, I could ask Jeremy this: take Cignetti out of the equation, take James Franklin out of the equation, right? Which program was a 5-star defensive end, quarterback, running back going to?
I'll ask you
It's
this:
not
Why
even.
is there so much parity in college football if it's so easy of an answer?
It's not. You're right, because the coaches are good. Because coaching is great, and because the high-level coaches like Dan Lanning, like Signetti,
It's
like
not all about the coaches.
Marcus
It's about the
Freeman.
money that you can make. In Indiana right now, boosters will pay you just as much of a salary as Penn State boosters will pay.
I would highly doubt that.
It's the new wave of college football. Penn State is being left behind, and they might be. I don't think that they're passed up right now, but if this continues, Indiana will pass up Penn State.
You're thinking of the whole logic. Well, college football is the greatest thing ever. In college football, these kids only want to win a national championship. Unfortunately, if you're a 5-star high school talent, look at how many players nowadays don't give a fuck about what they do in college and just care about going to the next level.
And you don't go.
You think Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders came to Colorado so we're going to win a national championship? No, they're going to play for their dad and play for Deion Sanders and have a great shot at being NFL talents.
You think that
Indiana hasn't produced
a national championship?
Indiana hasn't produced shit. They produced Michael Penix Jr., who was carried at Washington.
We're on opposite sides of this, and it'll play out how it's going to play out.
And Signetti has, and like I said, I can't say enough. Signetti has built a great program. Remove the coaches, it's not even a question of which program a 5-star whatever would go to. And that's the problem with Indiana right now. Because Signetti gets offered a Notre Dame job. Do you think he's staying in Indiana? No. That's you and I both know the answer is no.
I think that it'll be decided how this weekend.
There is I could probably name 10 schools right now where Signetti was offered, he would go to.
It'll depend on how this weekend looks for what Indiana does.
And Penn State is on the cusp of that. So I'm saying Signetti's done a great job, but Indiana does not have the lore. And I understand the lore is very tarnished at Penn State. But Signetti, if he leaves, Indiana will go right back to the back of the line in the Big Ten. And it's not necessarily Indiana's fault. They play in the second best conference, if not the best conference college football. He would leave. And frankly, I think he would leave in a heartbeat for
James Franklin leaves Penn State is in just the same situation.
If James Franklin leaves Penn State, they'll call Signetti.
That's fine, but they'll be in the same situation as Indiana at that point. The programs are not that dissimilar. The programs that are dissimilar,
it's not even it's over too for them too. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't say different. I'm saying the same program. Penn State, same as Indiana right now. Yes, same.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Arch Manning, same as his uncle, because I don't know if you knew this. Peyton never won in Florida either. So Mannings that were 16 in college don't do well when they go to the swamp. But it wasn't just Arch.
Texas is in trouble.
It wasn't just Arch because their offensive line is terrible, and you can't fix that in a week. Oh, and Mateer's coming back this weekend for the Red River rivalry. Oklahoma may not be good enough to compete in the top levels of the SEC, but they can ruin a lot of teams' seasons the way that the rest of their season plays out.
Which, by the way, was broken by a Chipotle worker in Norman, Oklahoma, which I thought was hilarious. I think that was, for those that don't know the story, a guy who worked at Chipotle in Norman, Oklahoma, asked John Mateer, when do you think you're going to be coming back? We miss you out on the field. He said, I'll be back for Red River.
Yeah.
And this was like 2 weeks ago. That's hilarious to me.
Somebody needs to go through PR training.
Hilarious to me. He's like, don't tell anybody, John. What are you doing here, buddy?
We have a plan for you, but you don't need to. You don't need to tell anybody that plan. I think it's do or die. It was do or die last week because there's no way you should lose in Florida with the way that Florida's going. I know that they're talented and the 5 stars. Now your 5-star argument makes a lot more sense because DJ Lagway is talented. He has talented people around him. But it was the college football on the road. I don't know what it is about the difference between NFL games and college games where teams go on the road and they absolutely lose who they are. But Texas, it's the same issues that we've been talking about the entire season. You played 3 cupcakes going into your SEC competition, and you look better than you did against Ohio State, but your offensive line can't block. Your defense, it won't be able to hold up in these situations where your offense is continually going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. They will give up points, whether it's to Florida or whether it's against Oklahoma or towards the end of the season. Like, you're staring at this Texas A&M game now as a Longhorns fan, like the Aggies might beat us. The Aggies might have more to play for at the end of the season than we do, because if you lose another game as Texas, there ain't no way a 3-loss team is making it into the college football playoff this year, unless everything else blows up at the top of the conference and you find yourself back in Atlanta. But you lose the SEC championship and a college football playoff spot this weekend. If
you need to have 3 more teams have 3 losses. You need to have like a lot of teams start accumulating losses too if you do lose that game. And like I said, I think Texas is a big enough name that or I don't even know who the 2 loss teams are right now. Fucking say LSU. I think LSU's 1 loss. I don't know.
LSU has 1 loss, but LSU would be in front of them if they finish with 3.
Exactly. Say one of these other teams have 3 losses and they start racking up losses. Say Alabama. Alabama has 3 losses for whatever reason. Like they'll be right even with them, right? And obviously, if Texas makes the SEC championship over Alabama, they'll have a little bit more say over Bama in that sense. They need things to happen, and that's what you hate to have in college football is when you need things to happen, because more than likely it doesn't happen. But
here's my question: even if that 3rd loss comes in the SEC championship game, they're not making the bracket.
If they win out the rest of their schedule and pull up their schedule while we talk about this, if they win out. It's not very good. I know. Pull out the rest of their schedule. If they went out and they make the SEC championship, I would take a wild guess that they'd be a top 10 team.
Let's see. Texas has Oklahoma this weekend in the Red River rivalry.
There's 1 ranked win. If they just say they went out, where's 1 ranked win?
Kentucky.
That's a bad one.
Mississippi State.
That could be a ranked win at that point.
No, because Mississippi State, I think, lost another one, so they're not ranked. Okay. Vanderbilt right now is sitting at number 20.
So there's 2 ranked ones. Possibly.
Georgia.
There's a ranked win. There's 3.
Arkansas.
That's a pushover.
And Texas A&M.
That'd be 4 ranked wins. And possibly 5 Mississippi State wins that. That's 4 ranked wins. That's 4 ranked wins. They would be a top 10 football team. If they were, that's if they run the table. If they run the table, that's beating Georgia, and which would be a huge win. Who's obviously one of the top teams in the country right now. That's beating Oklahoma, who's ranked. That's beating Vanderbilt, who's ranked. That's beating. Obviously, that's crazy to think about after what they just did against Gainesville. But they'll be a top 10 team in the country, and then the conversation comes up. Well, do you have the SEC runner-ups not make the playoff? And they'll be the last team to squeeze it. That's a weird conversation that I don't think we need to have right now. But I just think if they run the table, there's still a chance. I
don't see them winning this weekend because Oklahoma's defense is that good and they can put Arch in a blender again. And then the Georgia game, I'm looking at this.
They have to turn things around very quickly.
The Georgia game is on the road. Yeah. So Georgia is going to be in Athens, if you don't end your season this weekend by losing to Oklahoma, I think that's the weekend that it'll end.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's why I say those 2 reasons why you said that it's going to be a big uphill battle makes me believe more that if they win both those games, they'll be in the playoff. That's why, because it'd be 2 big wins.
The only other issue there becomes now you have another big conference, so yeah, you could be 10-3, but you might be able to run the rest. You might be able to run the table the rest of your schedule and might not make the playoff. You
and I both sat here and said that the SEC and the Big Ten may combine for 10 teams in the playoff. It's a possibility.
It wouldn't be this year. I think that has to be a 16-team bracket, and then we can start seeing
the double digit. At maximum, at minimum 8.
I think 8 would be.
I think that combined 4 teams each, and if Texas is playing in the SEC championship, and they go on this run, they have a say over Alabama. I would think they have a say over all of those teams. I mean, obviously they need, like I said, they need things to happen. That's what makes this difficult, is they have to have things happen, and they also have to have massive wins. And obviously, they need both to happen to have that chance. But I mean, it's
probably the issue that they're running up against is so glaring to me. Like their offensive line is
it's horrible.
Terrible. Like it's not a Big 12 offensive line, let alone an SEC offensive.
They don't have a running game either, they had a great running game last year with Jadon Blue.
That's the only time that Sarkisian has been successful is when he's had a running back. Going all the way back to his USC and Alabama days, he had a running game.
And they just have completely negated that and said, Arch, do it yourself. And Arch, in his first year starting, cannot do that. He cannot do that.
No, he doesn't read the defenses very well, and he's got happy feet in the pocket. I'm interested to see what he looks like next year, but this year it's not what we were expecting from a guy with the last name Manning. Not great news, but we should talk about it because we have talked about CU. But Coach Prime it's back-to-back losses where you have a 14-point lead, so that's bad enough, but it's not the football that's being talked about. It's the stuff off the field. He missed all of the summer and spring with his battle with bladder cancer, and now it's been reported that possibly blood clots in his legs have returned. He had one shoe off on the sideline because he had so much pain. He's not able to stay on his feet for the entirety of a college football game, so it's kind of irrelevant what the team does on the field right now. Is Coach Prime, is this situation, what do we want out of this situation? Obviously the health of Deion Sanders, but are we looking for him to get healthy enough to come back? Should we be looking at what's the post-Prime era going to be like? Because if this is how this season is going, it's not like it's going to get easier, and he's getting older and his body has to deal with more things. I'm just interested to see, what are you expecting?
I mean, look, I'm never going to say you need to replace a man because of his health, and I think obviously Prime is in a position that he should have a say whether or not he's coaches or not. I don't think it's right now up to who's the AD? Rick George, is that his AD, right? Is it Rick George? I can't remember who the AD is.
I'll give his name.
I think it is Rick George, and I don't think that he's in that position. I think Prime is in the position to make those decisions, and I think he knows his body better than anybody. And frankly, and look, this is not obviously his sons are gone out of the program, and I know this is going to sound bad, but what's holding him, right? If it's your health over coaching a bunch of kids, obviously he adores those kids, and a lot of those guys. He coached youth football as well and been around them for a long time, but it's deteriorating his health. And I think he knows better than anybody, if you want to be a head coach, a successful head coach in college football or the NFL in general, you have to be able to stand on your 2 feet and be right in the middle of the action. And right now he's unable to because of his health concerns. So, and look, I hope Deion has a full, fast recovery and that because like I said, he's done a lot. He's made this program exciting. He's made it a lot of fun, and frankly, he's given this program a Heisman Trophy winner, and we've never been even close to that since Rasheem Ali or Rasheem Ali. I can't remember his name. It's going to piss me off.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. 30 plus years. The problem, he needs to start creating contingency plan. I don't know who the OC is. I don't know who. Actually, I do know who the OC is exactly. Don't give it to him.
Give it to the D coordinator. I can't think of his name.
You need to start creating contingency plan, not just for this season, but also going forward. And like I said, I don't know if that means you could have a conversation for Marshall Faulk. You could have a conversation for Warren Sapp. You could have a conversation about them. I don't know how effective they'd be compared to Deion, but I don't hate that. I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea. I mean, like. You could have a head college football coach as a motivator as opposed to an X and O's guy. I think high school is the last part where your head coach has to be an X and O's guy. I think when it comes to college, when it comes to college and pros, you don't need X's and O's guys. You need you can have a motivator and a guy people want to play for because he'll always have their backs, and he'll put a good OC and a good DC around him. If that's Falk, if that's Sapp, if that's somebody on the staff not named Pat Shurmur, let me make that very, very clear, not named Pat Shurmur, then I think you need to start creating that contingency plan.
I think that it's more than likely going to be the outcome of this because blood clots, it's a warning sign of other things that can be happening. And if you already have had cancer and toes amputated and all of these other things, I love coaching football as much as the next guy. And I know he's been very vocal, like coming to see you and being at Jackson State before that. This is what he's called his calling. He was a damn good NFL player. If an NFL player wasn't his calling and college football coaching is his calling, it's going to be a damn shame if we don't get more than with him on the sideline.
And I think and why I bring this up and why I think it's such a unique thing now is with the NIL and with all this, there are GMs in college football. I think like I said, you paid Deion all this money. I don't think you need to get rid of him. I think he can still be around. I think he can still be the GM. I think he can still have a hand on everything and still be at his practice. I think for his health, I think it's for his safety. I think it's just way more important to have a guy that is yelling at him on a daily basis, and Deion can overlook everything. Because it's like, look, you're still going to a program with Deion Sanders in it.
Yeah.
So,
he can still make sure everybody's accountable in the classroom and do all the things that. I mean, when he got brought into the program, CU football players didn't go to class. They didn't graduate. We were the
laughing stock college football. 1-11. 1-11
Yeah,
or 1-10,
and
whatever it was.
even if the success on the field hasn't been what everybody's wanted, what he's done with the program and the people that he's gonna have, he has I think 5 guys starting in the NFL from his CU tenure, with Jimmy Horn, or not starting, but in the NFL on
They've
NFL
been very,
rosters.
very good. Tony Horton has been, or not, he was a CSU guy, excuse me. They have
Yeah.
Horn. They obviously, Travis has been very, very good. They've had a
I
couple
think that there will be a
offensive
couple
linemen.
more. I think that there's a couple more guys that'll at least get looks for next season's preseason. So he's done enough with what this program was to what it is now. Like, yes,
This was also
keep him around.
I think we also knew this was a bridge year for this team. I think when you lose the 2 stalwarts of your football team, Hunter and Shador, I think you knew this was going to be a down year. I think your biggest worry now is keeping Juju around, keeping these 5-star freshmen around, because, like I said, Deion's not there, so they jump ship. That's I guess that's a name by name basis, and we'll see what happens there.
I think that the best thing for this team moving forward, Caden Salter's proved that he's not able to win these games. Go with the freshman, see what Juju can do, and give him some confidence. So
I don't know if I would go that far. I would even maybe
Nico, he threw 3 interceptions, up 14 points.
No. I'm just saying, not start Juju, start the other guy. I would say Juju, you could have a redshirt year, and have, because he is 17 years old.
Yes, but if he takes that redshirt year, then he has 4 more years to play for whoever he's going to go to in the transfer portal. You can at least maybe you put him in and he has a lot of success and he realizes he loves Boulder and loves everything that this Buffalo team, what he can do for this Buffalo's team. But I just think what Staub is. He's a backup. Caden Salter is a backup at this level.
I think Staub is better than Salter, at least, though. But I think I don't know. I just, maybe this is my NCAA dynasty talking. I would consider redshirting him because of how young he is and not exposing him. And maybe that's a conversation that Deion has with him and being like, look, I don't know how much longer I'll be around, but we feel like you're the future of this program. We don't want to get you injured because our offense is struggling and we don't have the right pieces around you, but you stick around for another year. The starting job's yours as a redshirt freshman, and who knows what we can be with you. And that's a conversation Deion has to have.
Well, they're in for a fight this weekend because Iowa State's coming off getting their butts kicked by Cincinnati, losing their top 25 ranking. And I think besides Texas Tech, the second team in this Big 12 championship will be a team with 2 conference losses. So CU has 2 conference losses. They have to win 4 of their last 6 to even qualify for a bowl. So let's start with the small steps. But Iowa State's going to have everything to play for. They can't afford to be down after last week getting beat by Cincinnati and come in and play a CU who is down and will probably be without their head coach on the sidelines. You can't have a letdown spot in this game if you're the Iowa State Cyclones. So I think they're going to have a fired up opponent. I'm interested to see what's going to happen, but Deion's health and his safety are the 2 biggest concerns out of this thing. We don't need him, passing out or
his life
anything else on the sidelines. Yeah. Let's talk about some hockey because hockey season is underway. The Avs got a big win Wednesday night. They're playing again tonight as we're live here. So they're still waiting to start. When people are watching this, they'll be in, I think, the second or third period. What are we expecting out of this Avalanche team? Eric Johnson, before we get into what we're expecting out of this Avalanche team, props to the Condor. Eric Johnson calls it a career, retires as a Colorado Avalanche. That's what we were saying. He's either going to play here or he's just done. He's won his cup.
He's also. I listened to the show this morning. He will be doing color commentary with Connor McGahey on the radio, and he will be doing. I think it sounds like he may be doing a NHL Network or ESPN gig too. So that'd be awesome for him. You'll see a lot more Condor than you're probably. And he's got new teeth too, which makes it even worse because you're like, gosh dang it, I don't even know who you are. Like, please just knock those teeth out again. So
you had a helmet on this entire time, and you were handsome. Why wouldn't you tell me this?
It's just it's crazy. Some guys have it all. But yeah, EJ, like I say, he's one of my favorite players and a great guy all around. A guy that loves his horses too, loves his racing, loves his Avs, and one of the nicest guys around. Having him around these guys is huge too. And frankly, like I said, we bought him in last year as a 7th defenseman. He wasn't cracking the top 6. He was a guy that was in a suit in the press box during those playoff games. He wasn't suited up unless something bad happened. So it was his time, and it's cool seeing him back and seeing him around the guys. But in terms of this hockey team, we said it last year. I think this may have been the worst ending you could have imagined last season. I don't think it could have gotten much worse. And the only silver lining in all of this is that with as many moves as you made last year, you didn't have a full season to figure it out. You had two goalies that weren't on your roster last year that were getting run, right? You had a new top six entirely, right? You had a new righty, yeah, Ransom was right wing, new right wing in HS. You added Landy in the playoffs; he hadn't played all season. You added Brock Nelson, who was a 2C, right? You had fouls problems, obviously. Have him back halfway through the year last year; didn't play the whole season. You had LSC deal with injuries last year. Ross Colton deal with injuries last year. This team was inserting main guys consistently, and you were like, okay, where's the consistency here? And now this team's healthy. Now this team can get a full season under their belt, and I see people comparing this to that team that won the cup, and I think it's a fair comparison because a couple things are true. You look at what that team did the year before. Right, you added Kadri the year before. You added Burakovsky the year before. You added, I believe Grubauer was still there, but Darcy Kemper was the year before too. You added him in the preseason. You added Devon Tays the year before, right? You added all these moves the year before. We were like, okay, we're kind of figuring this out, right? You're kind of figuring this out, seeing how things go. And now that second year, you hit your stride. And I think you look at the depth of this team. This top six may be better than that year. I'm dead serious. I think this top six arguably is better, and obviously, I think it's a fair thing to compare it to, right? The first line that year was Ranson and McKinnon and Landy. Mac is still there. Natchez and Ranson is better, so I'll give him that. I would say Lucky maybe is probably producing a little bit more than Landy is consistently. Then Landy was kind of the vocal leader then, so I would upgrade there. That second line, it was Kadri, Nichushkin. Who was the? Oh, it was Kadri, Burakovsky, right? That this third line, you have Brock Nelson, Nichushkin, and Landy. It's basically just as good, if not better. Brock Nelson, I think, is better at this point in his career than Kadri was. So I think that's an upgrade. And these third line, Ross Colton, LOC, and Parker Kelly, that's a great third line. It has depth all over the place. And watching the game Tuesday night, because I was locked in and watching that game, and I sat there being like, we don't even have Blackie in the net. But obviously, Blackwood is injured and dealing with that injury during the offseason. LC's on the lineup. This Wedgwood looked incredible. Mm-hmm. And one night later, the LA Kings played Vegas on ESPN or on TNT. I was watching that as well. They put up 5 goals against Vegas. And Vegas is known to have good goaltending, Aiden Hill, and great defense. And you held that same Kings team to 1 goal. And frankly, it should have been 1 goal because it was a dumb penalty that you gave up a power play goal. So this team has endless potential. It's putting it together at the right time.
There's also going to be a move at some point this season because every year that a team wins the cup, they make some sort of move. Either it's now been a month before the trade deadline, but at some point there will be somebody new on this roster, and that will be the deciding factor that kind of takes things over the top for this team. There will be something that happens. It's not going to be 87. I talk about that. By the way, my biggest Avs fan this season in my class is a girl, and she can talk some hockey. She knows what's going on. And she was asking me, she's like, do you think Crosby? I don't think Crosby, but there will be somebody. Somebody will be disgruntled and need to be moved, and the Avalanche will be a very enticing suitor because you have 29, you have Makar, and you're correct. This is the bones of a team that will make it or should make it at least to the second round of the playoffs. And I hate saying that because of what this team's history is, but the Avalanche are good enough to do that right now with all of the injuries. LOC is going to seem like a trade deadline acquisition when he comes back from his injury, and I know that he's going to add a spark to the third line. He's a guy that they've paid to keep around because of what he does in the locker room. But the biggest thing for me this season is having the C suiting up as much as we can. I'm not going to say every game because you're a vet now. You can earn some vet days. But having him as a steady presence and not just a guy sitting in the suit in the press box, that will be what takes this team over the top. And that will be why I think that this team has the ability to outdo what they did last year. It's all coming down to Landy and what he's going to bring to the ice and what he's going to take off the shoulders of Makar and McKinnon, but being that captain and being the leader that's out on the ice. Because those guys can be leaders, but they're not the same level as Landy.
No, it's not. It's a whole different presence, and EJ was talking about. I think having him around is just important because as much as we love Mac and as much as we love Mikhail, they're two very different leaders. McKinnon is a whiny bitch at times, being nice to him. He's a whiny bitch, and Cam McCarr is more of a silent leader. And Landy is the steady voice, the guy
He
that
fought some guy in the first preseason game.
I mean, like the guy that you can just take everything out of, and you know he's going to give you his all every second of the game. And that's not saying McKinnon and McCarr well, but it's more. It's a little bit different when your best player is your captain as opposed to a guy that's been around and has the locker room put a certain way. And like I said, that's your captain. And I think that's what Landy brings to this team. So I'm excited to see 92 back. It's his first preseason game in like 400 days. It's nuts. Or regular season game, home game in 400 days. It's actually crazy.
I'm excited to see what happens. The Mammoth, Utah Mammoth. Because Nico probably not very happy that we have to say that, but Utah Mammoth are coming in tonight to play. That game will puck drops at 7. So like I said, you guys will be in like the second or third period as you're listening to this. We'll get a full NHL recap. I got to catch myself up. Nico's been doing a good job of trying to stay up. He works at the home of the Avs, so it's easier for him and the Mammoth tie into the Colorado Mammoth tie into the Avalanche. Baseball, we were proven as baseball novices, Nico, because the team that we said has no business making it past the divisional round is the first team that qualified for the championship series. The Toronto Blue Jays send the New York Yankees.
Yankees lose.
Yeah, no. But hey, they beat Boston, who we both said they have no business beating, and then they got that pity win. They got one win in the ALDS and made Toronto fans sweat for a little bit.
Vladdy Jr. is a different animal. He is putting he's restitching those baseballs every time he hits them. They are getting bruised and batted every single time that Vladdy Jr. steps up to the plate. Toronto's offense is humming. I mean, obviously, I had not watched one single Blue Jays game up until postseason, so could not tell you half the team. I know Bo Bichette is on the team. Dante Bichette's son is on the team. He wasn't even playing the series. I know Scherzer was a healthy scratch, and he's on the team too. But man, this Blue Jays team is humming. And like I said, Yankees lose again. I don't know what else they have to do. Judge played well actually, but the rest of the team was just bad pitching, bad hitting, and arguably the second best player of the whole series and the whole playoff run might have been Ryan McMahon.
Yeah.
The former Colorado Rocky with his defensive prowess at third base and back going the way it did. So, oh man, the Yankees are in trouble.
If they could only have gotten Juan Soto back for them, if he would have only stuck around in his pinstripes, the fact that they got outslugged by Toronto has to just be acid in the back of New York Yankees fans' throats. Like, what? We have all of these old guys who can't play defense so that they can hit. We got out hit by Toronto. The Blue Jays.
The best piece of contact they had in that game 4 was Jason Dominguez, who had his first at bat of the whole series in the 9th inning, batting for Anthony Volpe. So,
and the other side of the American League looks like they're just beating the crap out of each other because the Mariners and Tigers are tied 2-2. But the most recent game, the Tigers at home beat the Mariners 9-3. I know that we both love the big dumper. The pitching seems to be the edge because I know that Detroit has the big hoss. Their Tarek Skubal is their ace. But Detroit seems like they have a little bit more depth than what Seattle does. And Seattle is a lot like the Yankees, where if they're hitting, they're really hard to beat. But if they're not hitting, they don't have much else to fall back on. So where are you seeing this one? It's tied 2-2. By the time this comes out, we'll have the game 5 happening on Friday. But who do you see taking on Toronto on the other side of the ALCS as it stands now?
Yeah, I haven't watched the second of the series.
No,
I so like I'm not going to sit here and not spit nonsense. I think both these teams are. It's a unique opportunity because you look at who the ALCS is Blue Jays. One of the Blue Jays, Tigers, or Mariners will be in the World Series. Obviously the Tigers were good with Miggy and Felix Hernandez, or not Felix, excuse me, Verlander, and all those years with Scherzer and all them, and they haven't been back for a while. And now we have an opportunity to have a brand new AL team, probably face the Dodgers. It's been a great series, and both teams are slugging it out. I think with how Toronto finished that series against New York. I think Toronto could get past either of these teams, so it could be a pissing test of who wants to get beat by less, but to Toronto. So,
well, I know that ESPN is paying a lot of attention to that Los Angeles and Philly series and the Cubs too, but the Cubs just went down 2-1 to Milwaukee last night. But they want one of those two teams to win and go through and play in the World Series, because all of the teams that they have out of the American League are going to be difficult to sell, because those aren't big media markets, and baseball is already, they're falling behind even more. Like, I heard more, I've seen more commercials and seen more publicity about the WNBA finals than I've seen about the MLB postseason.
Which has also been great so far.
No, I'm not saying that it's bad, but I'm sitting here saying, as MLB, you're living in the steroid era still of baseball is king and the number one. You're falling below the WNBA.
You and I both know that the marketing team for them will be struggles consistently, and that it's one of the most difficult jobs to sell a sport, and baseball continues to fail at it. So we're not saying anything new on the show.
No, and it's still surprising to some people in my life. But I got asked by one of the other coaches, like, you pay attention to baseball? I was like, no, honestly, no. Even in the postseason, no, because I don't watch any of the regular season.
I watch regular season hockey, home openers. Like, I watched like I said, I kept up to date what the Yankees Blue Jays score was Wednesday night, but I was watching the Vegas LA Kings overtime thriller. Like, I don't know.
I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome it. They're trying to go through with like the social media side of things, but baseball is
I mean, we talk about viewership. I would love to know what their viewership in the month of October has been the last couple of years, because between football and Sundays and trying to battle that, which has been horrible as it is, and then throw in hockey and basketball season starting and all these other things, I don't know what the numbers look like, but it's probably.
I know that there was an 8 million viewer difference last season in MLB postseason compared to, I think it was Bama, Georgia, or another big college football game that's happening. College football outviewed them by 8 million people last season, and it's only going to get worse.
It's probably worse, yeah.
The more that things move on. Let's talk about some games that are happening this weekend. We're rolling along, and Pick'em is going well.
I had a horrible week.
You didn't have a good week.
Horrible week.
And we have a half game difference between the two of us because
of the
damn tie.
One and a half.
1.5. Tomato. Who math is not anybody's strong suit. Nobody likes math besides my brother, who also likes the Jets. So what does he know? But it's been very successful, more successful than I was thinking. I was honestly expecting, maybe over 500 for 3 weeks, and we're doing even better than that going through. Now we're into week 6, so I'll let you go again since you are the leader and winner goes first. Make it, take it here. What games are you looking most forward to this weekend?
I would say I'm looking most forward to these. I think.
What games are you staking your reputation?
Staking my reputation. I think that's a way better thing to say. I'll start New England over New Orleans. I know we both picked this one. Spencer Rattler we just said it. Spencer Rattler has won one football game in his life, and we're asking him to win 2 in a row. That's tough.
Against a team that's trending in the right direction,
exactly.
Against a team that's now like we have no direction whatsoever. Our coach just got his first win. Kellen Moore, congratulations! You have a win as an NFL head coach. I bet you wish you stayed in Dallas right now.
And got me a loss on my record pick'em record. So unfortunately,
it got me a loss in fantasy football. So which one would you rather take?
True, also very true. I go Broncos over the Jets. If the Broncos want to solidify themselves and make it known that they're a real contender, and I should be waking up on Sunday morning at 10 p.m. and seeing a Bronco win. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not waking up at 7:30. That's not happening on a Sunday, not in the realm of possibility.
No.
It was hard for me to wake up early for a Ryder Cup. I'm not waking up for the Jets game on a fucking 7:30 on Sunday.
They lucked out too because this is the Jets home game, so they're going across the pond. They have the bye week right after, and the Jets are the home team, so you don't even miss out on a home game.
Exactly. Let's be honest. There's probably more Broncos fans than there are Jets fans in London. So it's basically going to be a home game again, like it is usually in Los Angeles. So I'll take the Broncos over the Jets there. I feel like it's going to be a strong one. I'm taking the Cowboys over the Panthers. Panthers prove me wrong. Dak Prescott, I don't know why people have him in the MVP conversation. I think that's stupid and idiotic, but he has played great football. Javonte Williams has looked a lot better, been really, really good for them too. They finally have a running game. George Pickens is making CeeDee Lamb life a lot easier. Offense is humming on all cylinders. If only they had a pass rusher to make that defense really good would be the difference, probably in them being a real contender or not. I wonder where they could get one of those. Maybe Jerry might know. Unfortunate that way. And then interesting. And then finally, Joe Flacco's not beating the Packers twice. I can't. Like, I know we've hummed over it. Joe, you are going to put Joe Flacco into retirement so quick.
You need to get used to setting up on the run. Move fast, think even faster.
Joe Flacco can't move. I can outrun Joe Flacco, I think. Put you and I and Joe Flacco in a race, and we beat Joe Flacco probably by 5 steps.
Here's how I'll put it. I don't think Joe Flacco runs a 10-minute mile in a business suit the way that I did at the beginning of the season.
He'd be lucky to do 20.
But here's what I said to you already. It's better than what we've been putting out there. And maybe it's a situation where you're like, you hand the baby to a 6-year-old because you're trying to teach him some responsibility. Like, you can't drop him. If you drop him, it's going to be a really big issue. So they're just giving this Bengals offensive line the responsibility. Now, if he gets touched, there's a chance he might die, and it'll be on all.
A couple things here. People were like, "Well, Joe Flacco beat the Packers with the Browns," and I was
he
like,
doesn't have the same defense. That
I was like, "Well, the
week.
Browns' defense is elite. it's way better than the Bengals." And 2, I would even go a step further and say the Browns' offensive line is better than the Bengals' offensive line.
The running game is better than the Bengals' running game. The coaching is better than the Bengals' coaching.
Yeah.
That game was in Cleveland. I haven't looked. Is this game in Cincinnati? Do you know?
I don't.
Did that factor into your decision at all?
Not even the slightest. I frankly looked at who the Bengals were. I kept the Bengals logo on this graphic and said, all right, who are they playing this week? And
it's in Green Bay. Awesome.
Even better. Yeah. Well, I mean, they played at home against Detroit, and it was basically all blue there. So that who knows how many home games they're really going to have this year again.
That was very disappointing that they were able to negate the stripe out that easily, because the Bengals were trying for a stripe out, and it wasn't even half of a stripe. It was a rough look. I'm here for it. I'm here for the Bengals to continue to lose because I can't have Zach Taylor be the coach of this team.
Did you hear what Jake Browning said? Jake Browning sounding like he was the guy for this team. I don't think he realized he was the backup quarterback.
If there's not a bigger wake up call in your life than you got replaced by 42-year-old Joe Flacco. No, I know, Nico, because he's been a guy that's been sitting there whining like Jared Stidham. Jared Stidham had more of a gripe last season when he was named not the starter than what Jake Browning has had his entire time in Cincinnati. But Jake Browning continually sits there and
Jared Stidham's been a great backup, and at least he's not said anything.
Nico, but what I'm saying is Jared Stidham talks as much shit about not being the starting quarterback in Denver as Jake Browning talks as much shit about not being the starting quarterback in Cincinnati. I'm sitting here telling you you're right. You keep trying to sit here and say that I'm tearing down your team. No, I'm telling you that your team's doing it right. They have a guy that understands. He might be pissed off about his role, but he had a little bit more of an argument to sit there and say, I should have been playing over Bo last season. Jake Browning tried to say that he shouldn't have been playing over Joe Burrow the last 2 seasons.
Jake Browning did you not listen to what he said?
I don't listen to anything he says.
He said, I'm the starting quarterback for this team. I still am going to approach the week like that and have that conversation and prepare accordingly. Like, I'm going to lead this team to victory. And I sat there being like, okay. I remember having that conversation with you that Jake Browning is going to at least help this team stay afloat when they had that one miraculous drive against the Jaguars.
He did in the past. That's all.
It was great. One great drive against Jacksonville. Let's crown him.
No, not against Jacksonville last season. No, I know that they didn't make the playoffs, but the last time that Burrow had a season-ending injury, the Bengals were more than what they are right now. This is way worse than anybody ever saw Jake Browning play.
Wasn't the last season an injury? Was this sophomore year?
No, it was the wrist injury or whatever. It was the wrist injury when he had his wrist blow up. Jake Browning came in and went 500 for the Bengals. If they had 500 football from a quarterback right now, they would still be in consideration for the divisional lead right now. So he has done this in the past. This is way worse than anybody's ever seen Jake Browning play at the NFL level. And apparently it's the worst that Jake Browning's ever thought that he's been able to play.
Which is mid at best. Which, by the way, let's talk about, you want to talk about that team. A, the defense was better. And B, the offense was better. Like I understand T and Jamar were there, but also you had Boyd, also you had Eifert, also you had Mixon, also you had a decent offensive line. Like it's
I'm not defending him anymore, but I did defend him.
I'm glad you defended him, but we're talking about one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL and saying that he's actually decent, but he's not.
No, and like he's not decent anymore. He was decent up until this season.
Okay, you're telling me 2 years, or when he started that year, he could have led a team to the playoffs?
He was close. He lost a game down the stretch that he shouldn't have, but he was in playoff contention.
Because of what Joe Burrow did for most of that season?
He played 4 games that year. So he had to win he was on a streak of 4-1 when he came in as a starter and lost in Arrowhead, and that was what ruined their chances at the playoffs that season.
I just still think we're talking about a piece of dog shit that's actually smells a little bit nicer than what it did this year. It smells worse this year than it does 2 years ago. I don't know. Look, Joe Flacco is not going to win this football game. The Bengals are a pigsty right now, and frankly, like I said last week, the Bengals would do justice by throwing Jake Browning out there every single week, because at least you would get a top 5 pick. But Joe Flacco will probably fuck around and win a couple games by accident, and that's not what you need, because Zach Taylor will save his job that way.
It's just not even worth talking about that team, because nothing will ever change, whether the coach is there or not. Nothing will ever change because of the ownership and the general manager. I agree with you. I think the Patriots announced themselves with authority, and the Saints are too busy celebrating last week. This is my last week with the Chargers, because the Chargers effed me last weekend. They chargered again and lost to the Commanders after I saw the Commanders put out absolute dog shit. Makes me think that I don't know anything about football. If they do it again this week, I will not put the Chargers as one of my teams on this graphic.
And I would love it very much, because if that happens, the Broncos will have the division lead.
Yeah. I think that the Broncos, and the way that they're trending, if the Chargers don't win this game, it's the same situation. If the Chargers don't win and the Broncos don't win, you're missing out on a golden opportunity, because the Chiefs are down and the Raiders suck ass. So who's going to take it, boys? Who's going to take that ring? Or are you going to let Kermit keep holding on to it? I think the Bucks going in 4-1 against Mac Jones and the 49ers.
Mac Jones look good. Mac Jones look good.
I know he has, but I do think the 49ers front office is kind of sitting there like, hey, can you not make Kyle Shanahan out to look like this? Because we just kind of signed a $260 million quarterback for Brock Purdy, and you're outplaying him right now.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like what we've been saying this for 2 years now, 3 years now, that Brock Purdy's assistant quarterback.
Those Fat Boy fadeaway is going to have some splaining to do, because
crazy. Mac Jones doing the exact same thing. Crazy.
And they'll probably sit there and say, well, Baker's a system quarterback too. I don't think Baker's a system quarterback. Baker's winning his football team games without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin right now. Yeah, it's Emeka Egbuka and him, because Bucky Irvin's even injured.
And the thing is, Mac Jones is winning football games without Jawan Jennings and Pearsall and George Kittle and company too. Like I said, Baker would make the 49ers Super Bowl favorites. I'll say that. That's a entirely different story.
Baker's probably in an MVP conversation if he's playing for 49ers.
He's not in conversation for the best quarterback in football right now. Yeah. Let alone the MVP.
My last pick, I was thinking about putting the Panthers on there and going against you with the Cowboys, but I figured I'll change things up. I didn't expect the Ravens to get their asses handed to them by the Texans last week. I don't expect the Ravens to turn around and beat the Rams this week.
You better hope and pray Lamar plays.
No,
you better hope and pray.
I think that a team like this, with a coach that has been around enough, they'll have enough pride to not lose by more than a touchdown this weekend.
I'll say it. I think the Ravens without Lamar is just as bad as Bengals without Burrow. I think it could be worse. I'm serious. I think it could be worse. That's saying a lot, because we just shit on the Bengals for 30 minutes. I seriously, this team without Lamar is horrifying. I watched them try to run the option play with Cooper Rush, and I sat there being like, well, who do you think you are? What are you doing? If Lamar plays, this is the lock of the century. And frankly, it's the biggest gimme you've ever had. If Lamar doesn't play, I think the Rams could obliterate this team. Like think about this poor Ravens defense and trying to guard Puka, Devontae Adams, and Kyron Williams and what Stafford is doing right now, slinging the ball around. If Lamar plays, it'll be close. Lamar doesn't play, I think.
What do we just talk about with the NFL though? Random things happen and weird teams play better at different times.
It's Cooper Rush. It is
Cooper Rush.
Yes, it's
Cooper Rush has also won games in Dallas, which better team, but a guy that's won a game can luck into winning games. Sun shines on a dog's ass twice a day.
Wrong clock or broke clock.
Broke clock is also right twice a day. Yes, it's same logic. And is it sound logic? Probably not, but it is logic that I'm willing to bet on. It's gambling. That's what it is. Plus 7.5. Do I think that they're going to win? No, I don't think that they have a chance of winning.
Lamar
I think that they maybe have a little bit of a chance.
Plays, I don't even have to look. I'll put the tally up and give you an extra win. So,
let's go into the final part of this show, the segments. We'll get into some of the best of the best. We talked about him already, but Nico Iamaleava did what everybody didn't expect him to be able to do after what the first month of this season looked like for the Bruins. But they got the win at home. He 5 touchdowns by himself and made Neuheisel look like the biggest offensive genius of all time. That was his first game calling plays, by the way. He's a new offensive coordinator. That was his first time. And Nico Iamaleava, with his 5-star talent, was able to win this game for UCLA. And it's their biggest win since entering the Big Ten.
More rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. That's actually
he's
crazy.
A good running back or a tight end, possibly.
When I was pulling out the statistics, I was like, okay, let me look at his rushing. I was like, hold on a second. 128 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, crazy. He's not the man.
No,
he's not. He's not the man. He's not the Dagestani killer. He's not the guy who brought back the MMA world into its existence. He's not Chama. He's not Chama. Chama is back. Chama is alive. Ankalaev thought he killed it. I watched Saturday night with, I'm going to be careful with my words, some of the most excitement I've ever seen is all I'm going to say. Watching Alex Pereira walk down Ankalaev and put a beating on him brought the biggest smile to my face I've ever had. I was while he was punching him on the ground, I was like, go, yes, again, keep going. Show these Dagestanis that we can't just wrestle for 25 minutes and win a fight. Show them who you are. And Pereira put Chamba back on the fucking map. We're coming for everybody. Oh man, it got me so fired up. My wonderful girlfriend, she has never watched UFC before. She watched it with me and thought I was a psycho. That's all I'm going to say. I did the whole walkout with him. I'd stare down everything. And she was like, are you okay? I'm like, Chama.
I'm just fine. I'm exactly where I want to be.
Chama. Exactly. Just Chama. She's like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, Chama.
It's from the Brazilian favelas in the jungle, somewhere in the Amazon rainforest.
The Brazilian word for fire, I'm pretty sure, is Chama.
Yeah, it's fire. And the war paint that he has on, that's straight up Brazilian, Chama. Like Amazon rainforest stuff.
Again, Chama.
Yeah. Worst of the worst. Well, I'll let you start with this one because I love shitting on the Wild.
Some hockey news is out in the world. Hockey news. Couple big things. I didn't put player of the week because Chama. That's why. The Oilers. They signed Connor McDavid. Mm-hmm. Did you look at the AAV?
I know that it's enough that he can be moved without any issue.
It's 12.5.
I thought he was going to make 16.
It's 12.5. It's a 12.5 extension for 2 years. He basically said, I'm here for 2 more years. You better figure it out or else I'm gone. I think that's what he told him. He's like, here's the contract, so we don't have to talk about this anymore. I just gave you the biggest discount in all of hockey. You better figure this out and give me a goaltender. I did not take a pay cut to not win a Stanley Cup. And Oilers fans better build that man a statue before the season ends, before the next home game. The season ends because he just took the biggest pay cut in the world. Because you want to know why? Minnesota signed Kaprizov
for 17.
It's like 20 AAV. It's 20. It's the biggest contract, single season contract in NHL history. Kaprizov, and the Kaprizov's good. I don't think he's a top 5 winger.
No, and he's been a guy that's been talked about as not always the most focused. And when you give a Russian $20 million to play around with in America, that's already got issues of not being 100% focused all the time.
It is 17 million AAV. 17.
Either
How
way,
crazy is that?
How do you put your trust in the maturity of a 25-year-old Russian kid?
It's Minnesota does this. They do this. Remember what they gave Parise after the Olympic run? Remember what they gave?
They were still paying
Studer,
Parise when he was playing for the Avs.
Well, they're still going to be paying Kaprizov for 10 years when he goes
when
back
he's playing for Edmonton,
Russia, or when he goes and plays in Russia, like Kovalchuk did to the who did he sign with? I think it was New Jersey when he signed that like $17 million deal or 17-year deal. It was like, I'm gonna go play in Russia. It was like, so you're not gonna on your contract? I was like, no, I don't want
contract, brother. This is Russia.
He's like, and you're gonna give me the money, or else I'll have my hitmen come for you.
Yeah.
And Kaprizov probably would be in the same exact situation. Minnesota, I don't know what they're doing. Like good for Kaprizov getting the back. Whoever their agent is, I hope you're throwing a parade. That you should be celebrated like the man. Like that's highway robbery. 17 million for Kaprizov. Ranson and McDavid are sitting there being like, well, I mean, McDavid signed after, but like Ranson's sitting there like 17. I didn't know a team had $17 million in cap space. Didn't know that was a possibility.
You know, Billy Guerin's sitting there too after he saw the McDavid contract come across. He's like, "What?"
He was like,
"I was trying to get this ahead of him."
And then Connor was like, "I give you 2 years. It literally is, I'm giving you 2 years. You better figure it out."
2 years in a mood. My bench warmer of the week is Arch Manning because the Manning face is one thing, but at least most of the Mannings with the Manning face won. It's not going well, and it needs to turn around in a hurry. But he is not the reason they lost in Florida, but he's definitely not the reason they had a chance of coming back in that game. He's made a couple of good passes. He's flexed on a Sam Houston safety as he's dragging him into the end zone, but there has not been anything to come close to the hype. Like the most hype that he's had this season is in his Warby Parker commercials, and those are probably on the way out if things continue. Because Arch Manning is probably, we don't really talk about bust in the college football game, but he is a bust at this point. Big bust in Division I football, and Sarkisian staked his reputation on having him there, and it hasn't worked out for him. But maybe it'll be a back half of the season to remember. Maybe it'll be a senior season to remember. But right now, you're on the way to being your dad. And that's not what he wanted to be in his family. He wanted to be like his uncles, but he's closer to what his dad is because he's goofy. He's got some charisma on the camera, but there's not much there substance-wise for football.
No, there is not. It is true. It is all hell breaking loose in Texas right now.
What else you got before we send people off? And
player of the week. I know we don't have a graph for that anymore, but player of the week, Asia Wilson had a game winner in Game 3 of the WNBA Finals. That was a buzzer beater that stuck a fork in the Phoenix Mercury. Asia Wilson is one of the best WNBA players in the world, if not the best, and she hit a game winner at the buzzer. That, like I said, I was watching that instead of MLB playoffs. That's how much I don't care about what the MLB playoffs is going on. And I enjoyed every second of that, and the WNBA Finals has been really, really good, and I mean it's going to be it could be a sweep by the end of it, but the Aces have been incredible, and Asia Wilson, that game winner off at the left wing was incredible. So I would give her that play of the week. And like I said, I don't watch as much college football this time of the year as you do, so I'm glad you can carry those segments. But now the NFL and NHL is back, and NBA is right around the corner, I am ecstatic. So.
It'll be exciting because now we'll also have bracket discussions. I think week 10 is when the bracket playoff committee starts releasing their rankings. So yes, college football, not as much in the forefront with all of the other sports starting up. And I know Nico's ready to talk some basketball. I'll have to stay in touch with everything like that. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys are subscribed. If you're not already, make sure that you look down below, see that button is clicked, see the bell is rung.
Also, if you're on YouTube, there's a new thing called Hype. Give us some hype points. That puts us in the algorithm, and I saw people talking about that. So if you have an account on Instagram, give us a hype point. We'll give you a hype point back. I believe it's like 3 points per week or something, and it boosts us in the algorithm. So I know it's a new thing. They just did it. I don't know for how long, but help us out with that.
And if you don't want to sit through hour and 45, 2-hour long podcast, we're releasing a lot of clips now. I'm working my ass off in the post-production side of things, but there's been clips coming out. So if you're not subscribed, this is your moment. Go subscribe. Watch the Rise of the Roadrunner series that comes out every Friday. Watch the new podcasts that drop, the segments, the clips. Everything is coming out. We're trying to make this as, we're continuing to build on things. I'm not just sitting around, and we're not just resting on our laurels. We're not the Buffalo Bills. We know that somebody is chasing us. We're pretending like somebody's chasing us, and we're chasing down the next big-ass podcast that's in front of us. So please subscribe, follow. Episode 251 was a blast. Hopefully everybody else enjoyed it as much as we did. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host, Nico Bryant, we will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.